All right, let's do it, huh? Diving into the world of online privacy today. You sent over some articles on VPN, so I guess that's as good a place to start as any. But we're going deeper than usual, right? We're going to figure out what really keeps you safe online. Because honestly, who doesn't feel like they're being watched sometimes?
Yeah, it's unnerving, isn't it? No one likes feeling like their every move is being tracked.
Exactly. And that's why so many people turn to VPNs, I think. Seems like the go-to solution. But are they really the magic bullet they're made out to be? What do you think?
Well, it makes sense why people like them, right? The whole idea of creating an encrypted tunnel, it's appealing. Much harder for someone to snoop on what you're doing, especially when you're on public Wi-Fi, which, let's face it, is like half the time these
Right,
days.
like those cafes where everyone's pretending to work, but they're really just on social media?
Exactly. But, and this is a big but, just because you've got that VPN fired up doesn't mean you're completely invisible. Or that the VPN company is handling your data carefully either. You've seen those no-logging policy promises they all make.
Oh yeah, those always make me wonder. Like, how would we even know?
That's the thing. There's no real transparency a lot of the time. Some VPN providers, they might still be keeping logs, even if they swear up and down they aren't. And then there's the whole issue of jurisdiction, where the VPN provider is actually located.
So you mean like where their servers are? That makes a difference.
Huge difference. If your VPN provider is based in some country with, say, data retention laws or a history of cooperating with, international intelligence,
Okay.
well, your data might not be as secure as you think.
Yikes. It's kind of unsettling. So even if they say no logging, there are other ways.
Oh, absolutely. One of the articles you shared, it talked about this recent case, right? A popular VPN provider, they were in a privacy-friendly country, or so everyone thought. Turns out they had this subsidiary, and that subsidiary was operating in a country with much weaker data laws. And guess what? Legal battle happened, and they ended up handing over user data.
So much for anonymity. So what about the more basic stuff? Like, can my ISP still see what I'm up to, even with a VPN?
They might not see every little detail, like exactly what you're browsing or searching for, but they can definitely tell you're using a VPN. They see that encrypted traffic going through their network.
So I'm not fooling anyone. It's like wearing a disguise, but everyone knows it's you underneath.
Pretty much. Don't get me wrong, VPNs have their uses, but they're not some kind of privacy cure-all, you know what I mean? You got to understand their limitations, use them strategically.
Okay, so if a VPN is like the first line of defense, it's clear we need a lot more firepower in our arsenal. And that brings us to this idea of layered privacy that I saw mentioned in one of these articles. What exactly does that mean? Is it as complicated as it sounds? Layered privacy, huh? Okay, I like it. It's like we're building some kind of like digital fortress around our data.
Exactly. It's not about just one thing, right? It's about having multiple layers of protection, so even if one fails, you're still covered.
Okay, so the VPN is like what the outer wall of the fortress.
You got it. But we can make it even stronger. Let's talk about browsers, for instance. Most people just kind of stick with whatever comes pre-installed, but using a privacy-focused browser can make a huge difference.
Yeah, two that came up in these articles were Brave and Tor. And full disclosure, Brave has always intrigued me. It's supposed to block trackers and ads automatically, right?
Yep, built for privacy from day one, so you don't have to mess around with a million different add-ons and settings.
Way less digital clutter. I'm into that. So how's Tor different? It always seemed a bit, I don't know, mysterious.
Tor is definitely like the next level up when it comes to anonymity. Brave is great for everyday browsing, blocks trackers, blocks ads, but Tor actually bounces your traffic through this whole network of relays. It's like
A maze for your data.
exactly. Makes it incredibly hard to trace back to you. So if you're dealing with really sensitive stuff or you need that extra layer of security, maybe you're living somewhere with, well, internet censorship. Tor is the way to go.
Got it. So privacy-focused browser check.
Yeah.
What else can we add to our arsenal here?
Encryption. Got to talk about encryption. Specifically end-to-end encrypted messaging and email.
Right, those were mentioned in one of the articles,
Uh,
Signal and Proton Mail, right?
Yeah.
What's the advantage of using those over, like, my regular email or WhatsApp? Honestly, I get a little lost with all the different options.
Oh, for sure, it's overwhelming. But the big thing with Signal and Proton Mail is control. Your data is encrypted, but not just encrypted end-to-end encrypted, meaning only you and the person you're talking to can read it.
So even if, like, Proton Mail had a data breach, my emails would still be safe.
Exactly. They couldn't read them even if they wanted to. It's like sending a physical letter. Sealed envelope, no one can peek inside.
Okay, that makes sense. So far, we've got our VPN, a better browser, encrypted communication. Feeling more secure already? What's next?
How about we shore up our connection a bit? Let's talk about DNS.
DNS, right.
Yeah.
Help me out here.
So every time you go to a website, your computer uses a DNS server. It basically translates the website address, like google.com, into the IP address, which is how computers find each other online.
Okay, that rings a bell. And this is all happening automatically, right, behind the scenes.
Right. But by default, your ISP usually handles those DNS requests, which means they know every website you visit.
Ah, right, our ISP, always watching. So how do we get around that?
DNS over HTTPS, or DOH,
Yeah.
it encrypts those DNS requests so your ISP can't see which sites you're going to.
So even if I'm using a VPN, adding DOH is like an extra layer of protection.
Exactly. Like imagine mailing a postcard but putting it inside a sealed envelope first.
Love the analogies. Okay, our privacy fortress is getting pretty solid here. Two more things from these articles were Privacy Badger and uBlock Origin. Worth checking out.
Absolutely. Both are great for blocking trackers. You know how websites use those invisible trackers to follow you around the internet?
It's like they're little spies, those trackers, lurking in the background.
That's a good way to put it. But yeah, these extensions, they help you fight back. Privacy Badger's cool. It kind of learns over time, figures out which trackers are the worst offenders, and then automatically blocks them.
So it's getting smarter as it goes, like training my own little privacy army, one tracker at a time.
Exactly. And then you've got uBlock Origin. It's really lightweight, but don't let that fool you. It's super effective. You can really fine-tune it if you're into that kind of thing. Or just use the default settings, which work great too.
Awesome. So those two, pretty good bet for shutting down that whole tracking business. It's scary how much goes on that we don't even realize, you know?
Totally. And that's why it's so important to be aware, to be in control. Speaking of control, one of the articles mentioned good digital hygiene. Kind of funny, right?
Like washing your hands, but for your online life.
Exactly. Except instead of soap and water, it's all the little things you do to protect your privacy. Consistently, right? Makes a big difference.
Okay, I'm all for being more hygienic, digitally speaking. Give me some examples. What kind of things are we talking about?
Simplest thing, clearing your cookies and browser cache. Got to do it regularly.
Those are like, what? Little digital footprints we leave everywhere.
Exactly. Sweeping up those footprints, so to speak, makes it harder to track your movements. Another big one, especially these days, is being super careful on public Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah. I always get nervous using those. Never feel safe.
Smart. Those networks are usually not very secure. Hackers can get in there pretty easily. If you got to use it, use a VPN. Always. Oh, and of course, got to be careful what you share on social media.
Right. Social media, the land of
Yeah.
maybe sharing a bit too much sometimes.
Yeah.
Easy to forget. All that stuff adds up. It's like building a profile, right? Companies are using that data.
100%. They're building a profile, they're targeting ads. So yeah, check your privacy settings, be picky about what you share, and think twice before letting apps connect to your social media accounts.
Good advice. So we've talked about VPNs, browsers, encryption, DOH, anti-tracking extension, digital hygiene. Phew. There was also something in one of these articles about self-hosting. Is that as intense as it sounds?
It's definitely more, I guess you could say, advanced, best for people who are comfortable with tech stuff, managing your own server, that sort of thing.
So like instead of Gmail, I'd have my own email server. Same with cloud storage.
Yep. You're not relying on those big companies anymore. You make the rules. You control who has access.
It's like being your own digital landlord.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably a steep learning curve.
Yeah, there's definitely a learning curve. But hey, there are tons of resources out there if you want to give it a shot.
So for the truly privacy conscious, self-hosting is the ultimate. Huh. But like you were saying earlier, it's not all about the tools. It's about mindset too, right? Being aware.
100%. You can have all the best tools in the world, but if you're not thinking about your privacy, it won't do much good. It's about understanding how data is collected, how it's used, even how it can be misused. Then you can make informed choices.
So knowledge is power, even in the online world. This has been eye-opening, really. We've gone over so many ways to protect your privacy online. Some easy, like changing your browser, and some more involved, like that whole self-hosting thing.
And most importantly, I think, we've stressed that it all starts with awareness. You're in the driver's seat. Every click, every decision you make online.
It all adds up.
Exactly.
So what will your choices be? That's it for a deep dive into the world of online privacy. We hope you learned some new tricks, maybe got a little fired up about taking back control of your data.
It's out there. The power is yours.
Absolutely. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and we'll see you in the digital world.